So, not many people will know, but my brother is starting out his career in cybersecurity. And because obviously his sister is amazing, he has been following along with my questions every Friday. And he wanted to get in on the action and ask me questions on video himself. So, Bradley, take
Mhm.
it away. Hit me with your first question.
Okay, fine. What are employers looking for in candidates when filling entry-level roles?
Entry level roles are obviously really, really tough. And I think the one thing that employers are really looking for is, I would say, at passion, although people dislike when we say passion, they want to hear interest. They're definitely looking for interest. When I've got entry level roles, I want to see, like, what are you doing outside of getting a qualification or education? Obviously, experience is great, like internships or work experience, but actually, what can you put on your CV that shows me you're really keen and interested? Are you taking capture the flag tournaments? Are you watching videos on YouTube? Are you listening to podcasts? All of those things actually really give me a picture of somebody who's interested and invested in joining.
Okay, thank you. What traits should someone look for in themselves if they're going to have a successful career in cyber?
That's a tough question.
It is. So what, what should somebody think of? I'm a good researcher, or I'm good at making things up, like creating a program. Which one of those, some things like that?
I think it's around your ability to question things and an interest in problem solving. So, if you speak to people who've been in the industry a really long time, a lot of them will say, I got inspired by this movie, or I was always taking things apart. I used to take apart my first computer and see how it works. So I think it's that like questioning mindset. How does this work? How can I make it better? What's wrong? What am I not seeing? So I think a questioning mindset is probably a key personality trait.
Excellent. Well, that's something I have, so I'm pleased to hear that. What job titles should people be looking for when trying to break into cybersecurity?
It does depend where you want to go. So often, and I think this is changing a little bit, I'm certainly seeing that, but often people want to be pen testers because that's what they see and that's what they think of cybersecurity. So you can look for that. SOC analysts or cybersecurity analysts, security analysts, they're all good ways of entering the industry too. But also look at threat intelligence. Often there's entry level roles within threat intelligence, and that can be a great place to start. Or even looking at audit roles, entry level IT audit might help you move into security, or anything in kind of GRC as well, policy writing, processes. They can be other areas which are maybe a little bit overlooked in favor of sexy pen testing roles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there a natural career path for people in cybersecurity? So, for example, you start off as an analyst, and where would you look to go from there?
There kind of isn't a natural path because there are so many different ways you could specialize.
Mhm.
So I think, and I always say people should look at what interests them. So maybe do like a lot of reading or videos or whatever, but like get an understanding of the breadth of cyber, decide what interests you, and then try and find your path there. If you want to be a CISO, in 10 years, 20 years, there are a dozen different paths you could take to get to that role. So that kind of also is a negative in that there's not an obvious, this is what I have to do next. But it's also a real positive in that actually you could go try something else. You could, you could move a little bit and take a role in GRC and then come back to tech so that actually you've got a breadth of experience. And I think that's a really good thing about the industry.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Is a degree really necessary? Because there's people like myself that never went to university, have had a fairly successful career doing other things. But do you really need a degree?
No.
No. That's good. That's what people want to hear. I think there's plenty of people out there that don't have degrees that would like to get into IT and actually thinking the degree is a barrier to entry. As I found myself, it isn't at the moment for my first job in IT. So that's positive to know. So other than degrees, are there other recommended courses that employers will look at favourably?
This is really hard because there's so many out there. I think things like CompTIA, that gets a lot of attention. Your CEH gets a lot of attention, which is a good entry level course. There are a few, but I think at that entry level, the main things you need to do are show an interest, go learn whatever you're learning from, whatever qualification you're taking. Just learn and network, meet people in the industry and get to know people and build up your connections. Those two things are going to do more than any one qualification. As someone asked the other day, like, I've got my CH, why can't I get a job? Well, like, it's not just about getting a qualification and that opens a door. There's so much more to it. So yeah, it's not about any one particular thing.
And just leading on off from that question, do you think there could be or should be a accredited course which all employers recognise at a basic level, i.e. the CompTIA A+? If all employers said, yeah, we will recognise that, do you think that's something that should happen in the industry?
I think that would be nice. The problem with doing that is then you don't have competition. So actually prices for that could become, really expensive and then not accessible. And one way of learning doesn't work for everybody else. Even industries, like accounting, which probably comes as close to that as you can get, they still have 3 different accounting qualifications that are recognized by different employers. So I don't think it's about having one. I think, I actually think maybe there needs to be a little bit of a narrowing because there is so much, and I think the market will find its way on that. But yeah, I don't think there should be just one.
Okay, excellent. What would be the average salary for an entry-level position in cybersecurity?
Entry-level salaries can be really good. I would say 25 to 30 is a typical entry-level salary, depending on what you mean by entry level, because obviously someone like you that's now done a year in an IT department and is starting to get some experience in cyber projects as part of that role, like that's very different than somebody who does join an apprentice scheme and has no real experience. So actually, your salary could end up being a little bit higher than that because you are actually coming with IT experience.
Okay, leading on from what you've just said there about my current job role, do you recommend what I have done as a way for people to get into the industry? So start off as IT support, doing the turn it on, turn it off agains. Do you recommend that to people, for people?
Has mum been calling you again for IT support? Is that why?
No. Not yet. Dad has.
I really do recommend that as a way, because it's really, really hard. Like, you go on LinkedIn or any of those places and actually, like, 100%, there's so many people trying to break into the industry at the moment. Like, what you have done is you've been fortunate enough to get a role which gives you IT experience. You now know what you're securing. And also you've been really lucky as well in that the role you're in, they're very supportive of your learning and they are very supportive of you helping them improve their security and take on those little projects. So I actually think that's a better way. I spoke to someone recently about, well, why not go into a customer service role in a cyber vendor and use that as a way to learn more about cyber and get that experience. So it's not perfect, right? Maybe there should be more companies offering pure entry-level roles for school leavers or graduates or whatever, or even career changers, people who are older. But at the moment, we don't have that. So actually look for roles where you can pivot.
Yeah, I have to say, this isn't a question, but doing the IT support has been fantastic for me, to the point where we've got computer science teachers who don't know how to do certain things on a computer, which to me is quite worrying and quite scary. So on a personal level, I think it's a great way. I've learned so much at a basic level. And like you say, I'm lucky enough to have a guy that is like, you want to run Nmap against the school system? Yeah, you do that. You crack on. You tell me what you find. I'm lucky that I've got that. Moving on. At what point in the future do you feel the cyber market will become flooded with talent, and then this potentially would cause a wages drop? Do you think this could happen?
I don't see that coming for a very long time, if ever. And if you look at other areas of IT, you don't really see that. So you might take, I don't know, developers, for instance, still really, really in demand. And maybe certain languages are now more common than others and don't have the same demand, but those people pivot and learn a new language and are in as much demand. I think it's something like, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's like 1 or 2% of the world's population knows how to code. That's tiny. And actually, like, it's a tiny percentage, even if it's not that number. The need that we have for IT, for securing that IT, like that need isn't going away. And there's still, I don't think, going to be enough people to meet that need in the future. If anything, I think what we'll see is we need more machine learning solutions to supplement the workforce, because we're not going to have enough people. So like, I just don't see that. I can see how you would feel that way, right? When you're seeing all these people that are suddenly trying to get into the industry, like that feels like maybe this talent shortage that's driving wage increases isn't going to be sustainable. And maybe the big increases aren't going to be sustainable, right? So some jobs have had 20% pay increases in the market year on year. Maybe that's not sustainable, but the idea that salaries are going to get pushed down and it's no longer attractive, I just don't see that.
Excellent. That's good to know. I am doing my Network Plus at the moment. I'm currently studying for my Network Plus before my Security Plus. Do you think that will benefit me in the long run, having that Network Plus?
Yes.
So for those people out there that are doing the Network Plus and seeing all these people jumping, doing Security Plus and getting a job, I am doing the right thing. People like me that are following the process, we're doing the right thing.
I think so. How can you secure something you don't understand?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned so much about networking from the CompTIA. I know there's the Cisco courses as well. But yeah, the stuff that I never knew, and I do feel like it's benefited me going forwards, especially in my current role, because I'm now not just IT support, I can do the networking stuff as well, which is good. So thank you very much for that. How willing are companies to help train employees?
It does vary, but in general, like pretty willing. And I think as an industry, we're pretty keen on training people. We're pretty friendly and willing and to help. And there are loads of organizations and industry bodies that will help support that and help with like your continual professional development. So yeah, I think in general, they really are. And what I know from the research I've done over 5-6 years is that employees leave because they're not getting professional development, they're not getting training and support. So actually, if you don't want to keep just paying more and more money, train people, support them. So yeah, I think employers really are kind of up for that.
Good. That's good to know. Again, in my current role, CPD is given an hour every week for staff to do. So that is good. Obviously, I'm in the public sector, so it's a slightly different environment, but it is good to have there. You yourself are quite popular and you not rely heavily, so that's the wrong word. You are quite keen on LinkedIn and using that as a networking platform. Something I'm trying but struggling with myself. Why are people on LinkedIn sort of always trying to sell me something?
Because they have targets, and now people don't have phones. You can't call a switchboard anymore. How else are you going to get hold of people?
Well, it's very frustrating. It can be very frustrating. I'm trying to ask sort of technical questions and I'm just getting met with sales pitches. It's almost like people don't want me to learn the answer. They just want me to buy their product. Do you think that's right or wrong?
Probably, yeah.
Probably what? Probably right or probably wrong?
Probably right. Probably right. I think I'm still stuck on the fact that my brother called me popular. Don't think that's ever happened. But yes, I think that there will be a percentage of people that will just say, don't worry about it, just buy our product. Like that's how everything works. It's not security specific. Like vendors get bashed a lot in security. Every single industry works like this. Every company is trying to sell you something, or so yeah, it's just how business works.
No, I appreciate that. It's just going to be very frustrating someone who's beginning LinkedIn just to be bombarded with sales messages I feel like people haven't actually read what I've put and understood it. So I should be rewording the way I write things on LinkedIn. And one final question, it's a personal one to ask for you. Have you ever used Linux, and can you run an Nmap scan?
No.
And it hasn't held your career back at all?
No.
Well,
you just saying that because it's something that you can do that I can't?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Well, in that case, I think this is a perfect place to end the video.
I do as well. Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much for your help, and thank you for answering my questions.